What's up, G.I. Joe fans? Welcome back to the M.I.B. Master Museum. I'll be your curator today. Guys, we'd like to welcome you to our Foreign Soldiers Collection exhibit. This was a figure line that came out between the year 2000 and 2001. It was only out for a brief time and was gone as quickly as it came. But it did not leave without leaving the G.I. Joe collecting community with some beautiful, beautiful figures. Only 6 were produced between the year 2000 and 2001, and it's really a shame, because what you had was some very, very beautiful figures that I felt personally should have continued. You know, we should have had about 20 or 25 of these beautiful figures. But for some reason, I don't know if it was a lack of demand or popularity, but at any case, Hasbro ceased production of these figures and shut down this particular line of action figures. And today, some of these figures on this stage here are some of the most sought after figures in the G.I. Joe collecting community. A lot of people, I personally have talked to collectors about this figure line, and they share my sentiments about it. Beautiful figures, well done, uniforms, everything beautifully done. And for the younger collectors, especially the younger G.I. Joe collectors, there was a Foreign Soldiers collection of figures back in the late 1960s that Hasbro put out. And you had a German, British, you name it. They had a ton. Australian, you name it. They had a ton of foreign soldiers that came out during that time period. And I think this was Hasbro's way of trying to recreate a sense of that flavor when they brought this particular line out. And once again, like I said, it's just a beautiful line of figures. No detail was too small for Hasbro's design team to pick up on and really add to the production of these gorgeous figures. You're looking at one of my first Foreign Soldier G.I. Joes I purchased, and this was my World War II Japanese Army Air Force officer. And a lot of things grabbed me about this particular figure. I picked this up from Toys R Us. All of these Foreign Soldier figures came from Toys R Us. I didn't get any one of these guys from a different store or location. All of them were purchased at various Toys R Us. See his pistol back there with his clip. And this beautiful holster. And look at the belt buckle here. There's his sword. Look at the detail in the stitching on these trousers. There's his patch. Head sculpts were all original. New head sculpts. Beautifully done. There's his hat. There's a picture there. Portrait, I should say. It's got the clip there. The detail to all of the accessories was really beautiful, and it really got my attention. And I said, wow, these are just, I said, they didn't, Hasbro didn't have to go out of their way like this with all of this detail. These were high-end G.I. Joes, though. They were around the $29, $30 mark. They were expensive, but you, as you can see, you got what you paid for, and you got a lot. Beautiful box figures. Let's turn this guy around. And this is pretty much how all of the back of the boxes, I won't turn all of the boxes around. But just to give you an indication of how beautiful these figures are. Let's get you a year real quick on this one. Yeah, 2000. So just beautifully done. And then we go to another one of my favorite ones. This is one of my favorites. Is my World War II German Panzer tank Sergeant Major. And all the artwork was beautifully done on these figures. Once again, you're talking about just beautiful head sculpt. All the accessories. He's got goggles. There's his German Luger. He's got the clip. He's got a pouch. These are grenades, believe it or not. And here's a very unusual canteen for that time period. So Hasbro was, and the boots are just absolutely gorgeous. And they even put the wear and tear paint scheme on the boots. And this outfit, this uniform, is absolutely, positively fantastic. And there's his holster. Guys, what do you think of our Foreign Soldiers Collection exhibit? Do you have any of these guys? Are you looking for some of these guys? Once again, you can find these guys. These guys are not that hard to find. Now, with that being said, some of the prices are going to vary on a few of these guys, because some of these guys are a little more rare, and we'll get into that too. A little bit more rare than the others. Here's our Foreign Soldier, Israeli Defense Force soldier. Now, the attack, the 2001 terrorist attacks on New York and the Pentagon back in 2001 shut down production of this particular figure. So he was not made readily available at that time period. And he would eventually come out, though. So this figure would eventually come out. Hasbro would release this figure, as you can see. And as you can see on top, he's one of the few and the only one out of all of these figures that has an adult collectible stamp on it. As you can see, no other one of these figures possesses that adult collectible stamp. Let's move him out a little bit. Get you over here so you can see him a little bit better. He's got his hat. I'll hold him for you. There's his hat. Pouches, grenades, clip, guns. There's his canteen. Another pouch. This beautiful gun. I want to say it's like M16 with a rocket launcher built on it. He's got his red beret tucked in. The uniform is fantastic. It's just gorgeous. Once again, attention to detail. Nothing was spared. Everything was checked, double checked. Hasbro did their due diligence and their historical due diligence and background on all of these figures. And this head sculpt is just fantastic. He's got his pockets, and you can see the quality of this figure's outfit. Look how it's a heavy stitched material, beautifully done. His vest, harness, everything. Beautiful colors to it, everything. And once again, it's just the only one that possessed that adult collectible. And this came out in 2001. Guys, you might be saying, why is this the only one higher on a higher pedestal than the rest of them? Well, let's bring this guy down for one. There's a reason for that, guys. This figure technically did not exist. He technically did not exist. This is our World War I World War I German Infantry Senior Corporal. And please don't make me say this part right here. I know regiment, but I'm not the 1st Westphalian Regiment. So this figure, this German Infantry Senior Corporal figure, was not going to be produced. And through, or I should say per the G.I. Joe Collectors Club information that they were sending out to collectors who was looking for this 6th and final foreign soldier G.I. Joe, the information pretty much read that he would not be available because production of this particular line was shutting down, which was a shame. As you can see, his helmet, everything is just beautifully done. His rifle, sword. Once again, a beautiful canteen. He's got his pouches. The outfit, the uniform is just fantastic. Head sculpt, everything. He's got a big knapsack and all of his equipment down here. And all this is just molded plastic right here. And his box is very heavy. And a lot of that in large part to this particular piece right here at the base of his box. But the German Infantry Senior Corporal figure was not made readily available, and yet they did inform all collectors that a few of these guys had been produced. So production had started on this figure. Production had started on this figure, but had not been made readily available to the general public until maybe, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 months later, after that posting from the G.I. Joe Collectors Club. Then you could buy this guy through the club in a poly bag. Now, I didn't get mine through the club. I did more research, and I found a collector who actually had one of these guys. And this guy, I purchased this guy from New York, from a collector in New York. And I paid, oh my goodness, I want to say $65 for my German Infantry Senior Corporal. About $65. This is the rarest of all 6 of the foreign soldiers collection G.I. Joes. This one right here, the German Infantry Senior Corporal, is by far the rarest. So he's going to be the most expensive one. And through my expertise and my knowledge of just researching these guys, he's been the most sought after, the most difficult to find and obtain, and his collectability has really stayed true to form. So he's very expensive. He's highly collectible. Very difficult to find this guy, especially in this condition, because he wasn't supposed to come in a box. And as you can see, they did produce boxes for these guys. So you had a few out there that had their box, but a lot of them came in poly bags. Guys, what do you think of our German infantry senior corporal? Do you have this guy? Do you have any information about this guy? Have you seen this guy on eBay, Amazon? Actually, Coswell Collectibles is another excellent source to go and purchase this guy from. If you got a shot at finding this guy, and you can find this guy. Once again, it's what you're willing to pay. But if you can find this guy, Coswell Collectibles is an excellent source to start at. I've been doing business with Coswell Collectibles for the last 15 years, going on 16 years now, and they are just my go-to source with G.I. Joe. The artwork on this box is absolutely gorgeous, because the box itself was not supposed to exist. I can't say that enough, and that's what makes this so cool. That's our German infantry senior corporal. Here's another one. Let's bring this guy over. This is our Japanese Zero pilot. I bought this guy once again from Toys R Us. I can tell you what I was doing. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was on a G.I. Joe hunt, and I came across this Japanese Zero pilot, and I said, wow, the attention to detail, all of his pistol, his sword, his sheath. The uniform was the thing that really got me, made me want to purchase this guy. And this is what the Zero pilots, Japanese Zero pilots, dressed in. This is how they look. He's got his headgear on there. There's his helmet up here at the top. He's got another knapsack. I want to say it's a parachute. You're looking at a historical figure, guys, that Hasbro did all of the research on. And I remember when these guys were coming out, they made it extremely clear how diligent they were in their research and their development of these figures. And this is why this particular line of G.I. Joes, this collection, is so sought after. I've known collectors to use this that are teachers in schools that use these G.I. Joes as history tools. This is like a three-dimensional history book. And it definitely gets, kids' attention. So I know a guy that's a teacher, and he was, they were talking about Pearl Harbor and all of that good, that whole situation. And, he had this particular G.I. Joe. Now, he didn't have it in a box. This once again, this is a C10 museum example. But he had the figure because the kids wanted to know, how did the outfits look, the uniforms, how did they look, a Zero pilot look like. And, as opposed to looking into a book, you can actually have a 3D model here where you can, you can touch him and look at him and actually see, the aspects and the dimensions of the uniform. So all of that being said, it was just, once again, Hasbro just did a phenomenal job. And I know a lot of collectors that have the Zero pilot, and out of all of the the figures, they think Hasbro did the best job on the Zero pilot, but his outfit is outstanding. It's one of the reasons I wanted to add him to my collection, because it's really historically accurate. It's a very historical accurate uniform, and the head sculpt once again is just beautiful. We saw this particular head sculpt, on our Japanese Army Air Force officer. They just gave this guy a mustache. Let's set this guy back over here. Here's another one of my favorites from this line. Our World War II Russian infantry soldier. Once again, a very unique head sculpt. Now, this head sculpt would be used later down the road. Let's say maybe 2 or 3 years after this particular figure came out. They reused this head sculpt on a few G.I. Joes. Unique hat there. These are grenades. This is like some type of a launcher. This really cool machine gun with the drum attached to it. I don't know what this is right here. Let's bring him over here a little closer to the light here. But the uniform, you can see the stitching in the uniform. All of this is beautifully done. There's his canteen, very unique canteen. It's clear. Boots, beautifully done. And I absolutely had to have all of these guys in my collection, because this is what being a museum owner and a G.I. Joe collector is all about. It's all about history. I'm all about the historical factor of these G.I. Joes, how they were produced, how the boxes were produced, what went into these figures, what was the thought process behind the design team to come up with these action figures. Why do they think they would sell? Why do they think they would be successful? All of these factors came into play. And I wanted to know all of that, so that I try to gather as much information, especially being a curator here at my museum. I wanted to kind of have this information to share with you guys. And even then, this is not enough time to give you everything, so we want to hear your comments. We want to talk to you guys. Leave comments about our G.I. Joe Foreign Soldiers collection exhibit. We want to get the chatter started about some of these figures, because of some of these figures, it's a sensitive subject with some of these figures that came out with our Israeli Defense Force soldier. We brought that up, and that was right around a very difficult time in the United States history, with the 9/11 attacks. So some of these figures carry some history of their own and some background of their own. So it's just something we like to talk about and discuss. And Hasbro did a phenomenal job at creating these guys and producing these guys. Once again, like I said, I can't say this enough. I would have loved to seen more of these guys produced. We only got 6 of these guys, and we're very fortunate here at M.I.B. Master Museum to have all 6 here in our museum collection, and to do this exhibit with these guys, and to share this exhibit with our subscribers and our viewership. So, guys, with that being said, We hope you've enjoyed our tour of our foreign soldiers exhibit. Definitely come back and visit us again. And you know the routine. God bless. And keep collecting.